Welcome back to the Quick Save Podcast. My name is Josh.
And I'm Alex.
And today we're going to talk about news. But before that, we've got a very important update here. And that is that our last kind of 3 standard episodes are coming up for the year. So what, there's going to be this one and then 2 more, Alex? Or
No. So this is the 4th of the last.
Sure.
So there's 3 more after this.
Yes, there's going to be 3 more. We have some games. Then we have some special projects. Should we announce?
Yeah, we have a collaboration with a close friend of mine.
Yeah, so we've got a guest episode coming up next with Alex's friend, and that'll be fun.
You'll never guess what his name is.
That'll be funny in a week when you listen to the next episode. We won't say it here, but if you listen to this part, go listen to the episode after this next week, and you'll be like, wow, that's really funny. Yeah, after that, we're going to have some more kind of games coming up, but then October, what's happening in October, Alex?
The greatest holiday ever. It's a month long.
It's a month-long holiday called Hawktober, where we're going to celebrate Tony Hawk and his achievements as the greatest skater of all time. And we're going to play many of his video games. 1 a week, so it's going to be 4 Tony Hawk episodes in a row, which some people out there are like, man, that sounds awful. If you're me, that sounds like the dream.
Oh, it sounds great. I've enjoyed every moment of us getting to this point.
Yeah. And then, after that, clearly in November, it'll go back to being normal episodes, right?
Not a chance, man. We got some more fun coming up.
Yeah, what's happening in November?
It's No News November.
No News November. We're going to have 2 guest episodes, and then we're going to have a long play. We're going to spend some time playing a game that we all love and then talking about it in depth. So instead of 1 episode about a game, it's going to be 2 big episodes about a game. And then, finally, December. Come on, it's the gift of giving. Can't we give the podcast normalcy back to the audience again?
I'm sorry. Do you know who I am? Not a chance. We're going straight in from No News November to UMDecember. That's right. PSP.
UMDecember. That's right. We're going to play a bunch of PSP games. And that's going to round out our year, is going to be those 3 months. So we're going to have this episode, 3 more after this, and then 3 months of kind of special, fun stuff that we've got planned here. So be looking forward to that, please. Now, let's get into the normal episode about news. We're going to talk about some new releases. That's what I wrote about. I wrote about a ton of new releases, and we're going to start with the new Saints Row game.
I love Saints Row.
Me too. It's one of my favorite series. Especially
2 is my favorite in all of them, honestly.
2 has the best gameplay. 3 has the best story. I have that backwards. I always do it backwards. 2 has the best story. 3 has the best gameplay, in my opinion. But yeah, so they made a new one. It's a reboot, and it's united new and old fans alike. That sounds great, right?
Yeah, it sounds awesome. What's happening? I need to know. I'm a fan. I need to know.
Perfect. Don't get your hopes up too high. The new reboot of Saints Row released recently, and reviews have been less than favorable kind of across the board. IGN's given like a 7, Metacritic's got it at like a 63. It's kind of like indie.
Mediocre. It's not awful.
Like middling, not amazing. Apparently the game is super broken. Apparently on PC there are just like a ton of game-breaking bugs where you literally can't even log in and play the game without it like exploding. I've heard that there are bugs on console, but it's not as bad, which is good. But yeah, Saints Row 4 was released 9 years ago and took the series from goofy and kind of silly in Saints Row 3 to insane, over-the-top Alien Matrix reference, Palooza, superheroes. It was a whole thing. 4 made it super silly.
It's crazy that 4 was released 9 years ago.
It was a long time ago.
Like, it feels that long, and it doesn't feel that long at the same time.
This new game attempts to curb some of that insanity and bring the series planet-side once more, which is great. Take us out of crazy, insane alien world, and maybe let's just be a gang trying to vie for control of the streets again.
Yeah,
that would be good.
Reel it back to like 2 a little bit. 1 and 2.
So in the new one, you play as the boss. Of course, you always play as the boss, attempting to grow your gang of saints and take over the southwestern setting of Santo Elysium. Dust storms, mountains, canyons, and more will stand in your way as you move to battle the other gangs that stand in your way. The game pulls a large amount from Saints Row 3, Saints Row 4, and Gat Out of Hell, not in a good way, essentially taking the missions, activities, driving, shooting, even the menus feel straight out of the old games.
Wow.
That's a lot, for sure. But there are 2 sides to this coin here, although maybe not an amazing business model if we look at something like Far Cry. Well, a new Far Cry game comes out every year or 2 years.
Yeah.
The game is exactly the same. They don't change anything. They're like, we put a new gun in. There's a new truck you can drive that's got rocket boosters. That's the difference between Far Cry 4 and 5, you know?
See, I would have never known that because I started Far Cry series at Far Cry 5. and I loved it.
Yeah, Far Cry 5 is super fun and amazing. If you go play Far Cry 4, Primal, or New Dawn, or 3, great news. It's just that game again. They just did the same. They made Far Cry 3, and everybody had such an amazing time with it. They're like, perfect, we never need to make a new game ever again. We're just going to milk this business model.
Here's a new skin.
Oh, sorry,
Done.
You're in a foreign country? Well, now you're in a different foreign country. Perfect. Done. Slam dunk. This time you're in Montana. Nobody's ever been to Montana, so this is going to be slam dunk. We can make it whatever the hell we want.
People don't live out in Montana. What are you talking about?
But essentially what I'm trying to get at here is the Far Cry games are pretty much the exact same gameplay. The only difference is the story and the setting. Saints Row 3 was kind of a soft reboot for the Saints series. So it took us from Stillwater, the old town of Stillwater in Saints Row 2, to Steelport is the new city you're in 3. Big city, 3 islands. Each island has a gang. Fight the gangs. Make your gang big. The end. Mission solved. Saints Row 4 was originally intended as DLC, so it was just
Which makes so much more sense when you think about it.
Just going to use that same map, blah, 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 just be a big DLC. Well, they made it too big. Whoops, we can't make it a DLC anymore. So now it has to become its own game. Saints Row 4 becomes its own game. That's why it uses the same map, the same XYZ. Uses all the same stuff. There's some new stuff, obviously, but it uses the same map. So then they make Gat Out of Hell. Gat Out of Hell technically kind of Saints Row 5. Gat Out of Hell was going to be DLC for 4. Same deal. Whoops, made the DLC too big. Let's just release it as its own standalone title. So
I'm sensing a pattern.
3, 4, and Gat Out of Hell all use the same map. And they use... I mean, it's the same game. They made a different story and put it on the same location. Which is worse than Far Cry, because Far Cry has a new story and a new location. At least they give you that much, right?
Do you think at one point they were like, hey guys, we're going to try to make another DLC, and they're just like, we're making a new game? And they're like, no, a DLC, and they're like, we're making a new game.
Yes, yeah. The new Saints Row was going to be a DLC, but it took them 9 years, and they built it so big that it had to become its own game. That would be funny. No, yeah, the DLC, they became big, used the same maps over and over and over. That sucks. But there's something to be said about this. I played Saints Row 3. I played Saints Row 4. I haven't played Gat Out of Hell. 4 is fun. It is the same thing. It is. You just do the same stuff. The game is even easier than 3 is not hard. 4 is even easier than 3 because they just give you superpowers where you can jump and run and fly and do whatever you want.
I remember in the costume shop that you can go into in 4 that there is like Dragon Ball Z hair and like there's like essentially a Dragon Ball Z like wardrobe. And I was like, cool. I'm Goku. Yeah.
The aliens are like, we're going to stop you. And you're like, Kame, Kame, ah.
I just pull out my dubstep gun, just have a sweet time. Everyone dies because their heads explode.
Taking it back here a little bit. Although it is silly, and they did use the same map 19 times, sometimes it feels good to go back to that familiar place. If I play Saints Row 3 and I play Saints Row 4 and know 4 is just a copy of 3, I don't need to think about where to go or how to find this thing because I already know where to go. I've played the whole map. I've been everywhere. I've done everything. It makes it easier to kind of navigate. So they have to build the story around it and do some slightly different things, but it is easier to kind of go back to that, and it can be kind of more like a comfort food game. I'm playing Borderlands 2 right now for the 1,500th time. I love that game. I'll play that game 5 million times. I love that game. I love playing through the whole beginning, and there's nothing I enjoy more than playing Borderlands 2.
That's kind of what I'm doing. I'm playing Sleeping Dogs. Love that game. It's kind of just one of those easy to go back to, play through again, GTA clones. It's a lot of fun. Great story. Cool DLC.
My point being that even if the new Saints Row plays exactly like the old Saints Row, personally, listeners, I'm fine with that. I love the old Saints Row games, 3 and 4, and they're silly and ridiculous. I hear this one is less silly and ridiculous. I hear sometimes the NPC characters you get can be grating and annoying, and the gameplay is just you grinding out missions and activities, and if you look at it and go, man, I hate grinding out missions and activities, then look at all the other past Saints Row games that are the exact same where you grind out missions and activities. That's just how the series has been. If you don't like that gameplay, that's fine.
That's how the series has been since, 2.
And it's like, well, they should have evolved from now. Yeah, I don't disagree, but also Far Cry 5, that you guys keep rating 9 out of 10 every time a new one comes out, is the exact same game.
I mean, when you have a formula and people essentially just enjoy playing that formula, don't change it. You hit something good, right?
That's all I had to say about Saints Row, the new one. But I will say, the last thing I wanted to mention was I had a guy come into my store last week, and he was like, Oh, New Saints Row. He's talking to his buddy. He goes, New Saints Row, you know what I really hate about this? There's no purple on the case. Where's the purple? I'm not going to play it unless there's purple. I'm like, dude, there's purple in the game, man. Like, that's the Saints' identity. They wouldn't, like, just because the case doesn't have purple on it. And he didn't buy it. He was just being dumb. But, like,
I don't think the first game or the second game covers had purple on them. I think they were like orange and silver almost.
yeah, it was like, yeah, because it was like, yeah, the first one for sure is orange. Yeah, I think maybe 2 as well.
I think orange and silver somewhere in there.
3 and 4 and Ganon and Hell, they were like,
yeah, everything is purple after that.
It's purple because that's the Saints' identity. Yeah. Anyways, let's move on. I hear you've got some exciting news.
Oh, we're gonna have a revival over here.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it.
We're gonna have a SNK versus Capcom revival. What? When do you think the last time we had a new installment in the series was, Josh?
Well, I thought there was a Wii one, so maybe like 2009 or something.
Technically not a true installment in the series.
Oh, that was Tatsunoko. Right?
Yeah,
That wasn't-
Tatsunoko.
Yeah.
The last time we had a true installment in the series was back in 2003. It's been like 20 years.
What system is that? It must have been PS2, right? Like
Yeah.
EO or something like that.
So let's talk about the producer behind SNK's biggest franchises, Yayuki Oda. He said that there is interest from all sides, as both SNK and Capcom, to make another SNK versus Capcom game.
That would be great. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite sucked, so I would love to have like a faithful Capcom fighter.
Oda referenced the collaborative promotional posters that were displayed and sold at EVO this year. More EVO stuff, right? The great response and swift sales of those posters only confirmed to Oda that there was still huge interest in another collaboration between the two companies. Which, I mean, man, if you find an original like SNK vs. Capcom arcade, oh my goodness, right?
Just, I think what an interesting way to gauge interest. Imagine if I sold socks with Turok Dinosaur Hunter on them, and then 5,000 people bought the socks, and I'd be like, see, the people want a Turok remake. Be like, I don't think selling the posters means people want a remake. I think it's interesting that that's how, like, he's basing it. He's like, well, the people have interest. I went to the biggest fighting game convention, and all the fighting game fans bought my fighting game merch, which means they want a new game. It's like kind of true.
I mean, we were looking up the posters. They look pretty sweet.
They do look pretty cool. They got like Cammy and Ryu and all those guys on there.
But yeah, no, they sold so well at EVO. He was like, man, what a great response. There aren't any specific plans in place at this time to start the project. And Oda had not talked in depth with anyone at Capcom yet about the project either. When asked if the fans would have to wait another 20 years to see a new SNK vs. Capcom game, Oda replied, quote, 20 years is too long for me. We'll have it done in 10, end quote. So I've been talking a lot about Oda, right? And I haven't really said who he is. So let's talk a little bit about why Oda matters, right?
Please.
You know, I mentioned that he was the producer behind some of SNK's biggest franchises. And let's look at some of those. So he's a veteran employee of SNK. He's been working on projects such as like Fatal Fury Special, which released in 93, or King of Fighters 95, which came out in 95. And then as well as Garo, Mark of the Wolves in 2000. And even after the company's bankruptcy, Oda joined DIMPS, which is where he worked on Capcom games, such as like Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter and Tekken. He did return back to SNK around a decade ago, and he's continued to work on new projects within the series, such as like King of Fighters, Samurai Showdown, and the SNK Heroines game. I mean, this dude has like touched everything magical about fighting games practically.
Yeah, he's that whole era of Capcom stuff. He's been all over that.
I mean, imagine, you know, being in SNK in the 90s, in their heyday, being like just the guy that they go to and they're like, hey, go help produce, you know, the new King of Fighters game at the time, you know, go help produce a Fatal Fury game. So I am excited to see, hopefully, it won't take 10 years. Hopefully, it will be done in 5. But a wonderful new SNK vs. Capcom game. I would definitely buy that.
Me too. I'd buy it in a heartbeat. That would be exciting.
But I heard that we got a little bit of a sewer problem. Is that right, Josh?
Well, let me tell you here. We're going to go back in time with the Turtles in their prime, because today marks the release of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection. As Mikey would say, Cowabunga dude.
Cowabunga dude.
Yes, please. This game. I mean, it's hot on the heels. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge just came out kind of recently.
Yep, that was a huge thing that came out recently.
And this Cowabunga collection has 13 games on it.
Wow.
It's
13.
insane. It's like a lot. Yeah, it's insane. I was blown away. I found out today there was like, boom, 13 games on this thing. I was like, I had no idea. I thought it was going to be like the NES games and Turtles in Time, and that was it. No, it's insane. It's more than that. I began to wonder, I was like, 13 games? What are they putting the PS2 ones on there? Freaking Battle Nexus and stuff like that? But it's a little more sad than that. No Battle Nexus for Josh. But here's the full list of titles. So you've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 on arcade. So that was that later had an NES port. Then you have Turtles in Time, the arcade version. Then you've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the NES. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game on NES. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project on NES. Turtles in Time, it's on Super Nintendo, probably arguably the most popular one. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters on NES, and Tournament Fighters on Super Nintendo, and Tournament Fighters on the Sega Genesis. Then there's also Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles The Hyperstone Heist, which was also the Genesis one. Then all 3 of the Game Boy games, so you've got Follow the Foot Clan, Back from the Sewers, and Radical Rescue.
Wow.
It's a lot.
I have played TMNT, Turtles Back in Time, on the SNES. I own a copy, and I've actually gone out and was able to play and complete the entire game on arcade. And wow, playing on arcade is a whole nother experience. Like that game is just so beautiful and amazing.
It's hard.
It's hard, but it's so worth it in my opinion. That's a game I would happily give quarters to without a question.
So yeah, as you'll clearly notice, some of these repeat. So Turtles 1 on the NES and arcade, Turtles in Time on the SNES and arcade, all 3 versions of Tournament Fighters for each system. But there is some good news at the end of that rainbow. The good news is each separate release will play and control a little differently. The Genesis had blast processing, so that one runs a little bit faster, right?
Yep.
It might not look as good as the Super Nintendo or sound as good, but
Sega does what Nintendo don't.
have blast processing. That's pretty much the difference. But yeah, so what makes the entire experience more enjoyable? Well, it's just 13 games, and I'm going to play them all. That's going to be it. Not a chance. There's more than that. There's bonus content in the game. All of the comic book covers from the comic book series, the original comic book series. Stills from like all the seasons of the cartoons. Entire soundtracks from the games that you can just play and listen to the soundtracks. And on top of all that, they also have the original manuals for the games and even some of the original design documents showing off Konami's concept art from back in the day, which is
That's so
insane.
cool. Takes me back to when we played
Lanos.
Yeah, Salt Suit Lanos, and that was episode, let's see here. That was episode 13, man. That was almost 10 episodes ago.
Oh yeah, time flies.
If you were to go back and listen to that episode, we talk about how there is a separate section in the game where you can look at like original manuals from like the Genesis and the Mega Drive is what they called it in Japan, and how there was like the original music and artwork and all this stuff, and like that's so cool to have digitally just like on the games.
Yeah, it's great to have that kind of show up there so that way you can look at all that stuff and see it, because you're not going to have, I mean, that's the other thing about this collection. It's kind of like, who cares what I have Tournament Fighters 3 times. Tournament Fighters on the NES, what did you say? It was like $250 when we were looking it up or something?
It's crazy.
It's like a super expensive NES game because they didn't make it. It came out near the end of the NES's life cycle.
Yeah, you're going to find it more on the SNES than you do on the NES.
It runs obviously way better on the SNES and Genesis. Not as well on the NES, but yeah. And you're going to say, that's it, right? What? It's just another classic games collection by publisher Digital Eclipse, who did the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary collection.
That's a ton already.
And the Disney Afternoon collection. What more could there be, right? There couldn't be more. Well, yeah, great news. There's online multiplayer with rollback netcode.
Whoa, that's actually pretty cool.
That's right. You can launch a lobby with your friends, with strangers. You can say, I'm going to play as Leonardo, and then you'll get 3 people to join you, and you can go beat up Bebop and Rocksteady and Shredder and Super Shredder and Krang and all those guys with friends online. I have a small list here of the games that have online play. You can play online Tournament Fighters, which if you haven't played that, that's kind of like the fighting game Mortal Kombat style. You can also play through both of the arcade titles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 and Turtles in Time with online multiplayer. And then you can finally take on the Big Apple at 3 a.m. in the SNES version of Turtles in Time. That has online multiplayer too, thankfully. So there's plenty to enjoy here, and we do recommend that you dip your foot, clan, enjoy the Turtles and all their retro goodness, please.
Yeah, Turtles in Time is probably by far the most popular of all the games. It's the ones that people always say, like, hey, you should go and beat this Turtles game if you're going to play one. And I would agree with that.
What I recommend you go play is actually the third Game Boy game. It's like a Metroid game. It's like a Metroidvania. You have to like go. It's like a maze, and you have to go save the turtles. And unlocking each turtle grants you like new powers, so you can explore new places. So it's like a Metroidvania. What's your favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme?
Oh God, I have no idea, man. It's been so long. Probably like the early '90s cartoon.
I think we're thinking of the same one, which makes me happy. Which is the one where he goes like, he goes, "Turtles counted off. One splinter is our master. Two.
Yeah, that is it. Yeah.
3. 4. Yeah, that's the best one. I love being a turtle. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, that one's really good. The OG's good too. But yeah, anyways, that's my news about the Cowabunga collection. Go play it, please. I'm begging you. There's a lot of fun to be had there, it sounds like. 13 games is a ton. Retro collection, again, Digital Clips is no stranger to doing this. The Street Fighter collection had like 10 games. Most of them were Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter 2 Super Turbo, the Genesis one, which is called something different. Like, just 9 versions of that. But
There's so many Street Fighter games out there.
Right. Yeah, these guys are no strangers to packing in all the extras, porting the games over, making it run smooth. Like I said, they did the Disney Afternoon Collection too, which was like, I don't think it was DuckTales, maybe it was, but it had for sure Tailspin, Lion King, some of those guys too. But
life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Good times.
Something airplanes. It's don't remember the word.
Welcome to the Quick Save Podcast karaoke night.
Ooh, every day I've been singing DuckTales. Ooh,
DuckTales. Ooh. All right, let's get into some
danger. Watch behind you. There's a stranger out to find you. Woo! That's the only part I really remember from the DuckTales.
Oh my God, it's so great. Let's get into some quickie news, huh?
Please.
Let's talk a little bit more about the multiverses. Because we got some new news from that, and that is the fact that there is a trademark out from Warner Brothers.
Who do you think they're trademarking? My guess is Matt Smith's character from HBO Max series House of the Dragon.
Oh, that's so close. I actually have it pulled up here. Their trademark is for Big Chungus.
I wasn't trying to cough at that part. I guess my Matt Smith joke really tickled me. Well, hold on. Did you say Big Chungus?
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny's already in the game. Turtles counted off.
1.
Splinter is our master.
2.
I don't know the words.
3.
I still don't know them.
4.
They still don't know the words.
5.
I love being a turtle. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let's talk about Big Chungus. I said Bugs Bunny's already in the game, though. How are they going to put Big Chungus in the game?
Yeah, well, guess what? They're making him a playable character, and they don't care.
We don't know that. I did my own independent research on this because there was a tweet that went around. Yes, they did trademark it. It might be a skin, though. We don't know yet.
Who knows?
It could be a skin for Bugs, which, in my opinion, makes more sense. Because if they're like, look, you can play as Big Chungus. That's funny. Also, Bugs Bunny's already in the game. Like, what? Imagine, so LeBron James is in the game. Imagine they put LeBron, but it's like he played for a different team. They're like, look, you can play as LeBron, but now he's wearing like a Celtics jersey, and you're like, what? Yeah, okay. Does he control differently? I like a little bit.
My guess is that like it'll probably end up being a skin, but I think the bigger thing is that like, are they giving the person that made this meme like royalties?
Yeah, right. It is not called Big Chungus in any of the official Warner Brothers media. Somebody made a meme where they called him Big Chungus, and that was that, right?
You know, hopefully they reached out to the dude and they're like, hey, here's like pennies on the dollar type of thing, so you're at least making money from this meme that was free up until now. Moving on, though, let's talk a little bit about Netflix. I got some Netflix news.
Perfect.
Cyberpunk Edge Runners had its first trailer release.
What is that?
It's an R-rated trailer that is, like, I guess, upsetting a lot of people because there's a lot of graphic violence and sex in it.
Great.
So more to come on that. Also in Netflix, the Resident Evil Season 1 came out not that long ago. It's had a lot of mixed reviews. Guess what happened?
Got canceled. They're
Man,
not going to do any more. They did one season, and they were like, yeah, we're good. People
yeah,
don't really
they
care.
were like, never again. FIFA 23 got leaked a month early.
Wow. Anything new to report back about FIFA? Any new gameplay updates? No, it's just another FIFA game.
It's just another FIFA game.
What a
big surprise, right?
What a crazy leak.
But
Good thing that got leaked, huh? Man.
All right,
Goodness,
so
what
like
would we do if we didn't know there was another FIFA game?
It's FIFA. I know it's like not that important, right? Still, like, how big of a mess up do you have to have that you, as this like giant company, are just like, oops, we released it digitally a month early by accident. I don't know how it happened. I mean, like,
oh wow, we're drumming up press for it. Are we really? Not really. The people who are going to buy it are going to buy it, and the people who don't care don't care.
Yeah, it's gonna end up being another like 5-cent game in Walmart's discount bin in like a year and a half.
We better print 5 million copies of this game that like 500,000 people in America are going to buy.
It's just, I don't know why they think it's like such this big, huge deal. It's not, in my opinion. Do you know anyone that actually plays FIFA?
Like soccer in real life? Or
No, like the games.
No, not a chance.
I know one person.
Is it you?
No, it's not me, because I have no idea how like sports games work.
Now sorry, we don't call them sports games anymore. We call them gambling for children.
Oh, yes, you are correct. I'm sorry.
You have to buy all the packs now, and you open the packs, and you get players for your fantasy team or something. Like, I don't understand the concept either. You put money in, you open the pack doesn't have Cristiano Ronaldo in it, so now you put $400 more in the game to get your favorite soccer player. And then you get him, and you put him on your team, and you go, now my team's really good, right? And they go, well, not really. It's still kind of like a skill-based thing. His stats are better, but if you're bad at FIFA,
you're bad.
If you're bad at the game, you're still bad. The good players don't make you good.
No, but it's my friend. He is from Europe, which makes a lot of sense because of the fact that FIFA is giant in Europe. Because soccer over there is like a huge deal. That's why he's the only person I know that plays the game. Also, Hangar 13 and 2K Games have released a statement saying that there's a new Mafia game in development.
Mafia 4.
Mafia 4. Have you played any of the Mafia games?
No, I heard I heard 3 was okay. So, like, I heard 1 was alright, 2 was good, 3 was good. I heard the remake of 2 was freaking amazing, and now they're maybe making a new one.
Yeah, I played through 3. I have the big collector's edition and everything that came with the vinyls.
Oh, I have that too.
It's super cool. I found mine randomly at, like, a Savers.
I found mine randomly at work when a guy brought it in. So
that's super. I like.
It's heavy too.
Yeah,
it's
super
very
heavy
box.
It's got a ton of stuff in it.
It's got like coasters and stuff.
I think it's like things. I think it's pretty cheap. I mean, it's a super nice like collector's edition. I just can't believe that people are just like, oh, it's worth like nothing. Because I think you can buy one for like $30-$40.
Right.
But yeah, new one coming out. I'm definitely interested. I played through 3. Thought 3 was awesome. GTA clone-esque, I would say.
Yeah, it's kind of like open world, gangster things. It's like Saints Row, but in like 1933.
Yeah, super cool.
Less purple.
If you've ever seen L.A. Noire and how that looks, that's how Mafia games look, if you're not familiar with that.
Including all the silly faces they make when they lie to you.
Probably.
Yeah, I totally wasn't there that night.
Press X to doubt.
Sorry, are you pooping yourself? Or this is my face I make when I'm definitely not lying. Well, hey, let's talk about Marvel Spider-Man came out on PC recently. There's a bunch of great mods. I've seen some mods of some new spider suits, stuff like that, which is super fun. There's also a mod where you can swing around the town as Kermit the Frog and tell people that it ain't easy being green.
I saw this come up, and I was like, no way. And then I looked at pictures of it, and I'm like, this just needs to be DLC for the game.
If somebody needs me to do like a voice mod or a voice for their mod, just let me know. I'll read the entire Spider-Man script.
It's Kermit.
No, you're the one who's out, Gobby. Out of your mind. Ah!
Oh, it's so great. Moving on from that, there's a new Assassin's Creed game coming out. It's called Assassin's Creed Mirage. And it's going to take place in Baghdad. I don't think we've been to Baghdad or anywhere near Baghdad in the Assassin's Creed games yet.
The original one is kind of in the Middle East, right?
I didn't play through the original one, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's like he's Altair. It's like about the Crusades and shit. So
it's okay, like, so that definitely would have been in the area.
You play in like the Holy Land.
So it definitely would have been in the area. It's set to release sometime around spring 2023. So this upcoming year. It's going to come out so fast. It feels really quick.
It was originally going to be DLC for... I know this sounds like a joke because we did the joke about Saints Row. It was originally going to be a Valhalla expansion, but yeah, it sounds like they're just going to make it...
They made it too big and couldn't fit it, so now it became its own game.
So they made it too big and they put Johnny Gad in it, so now they're just going to use the map. It's so weird. Assassin's Creed Mirage is actually going to use the map of Steelports from Saints Row 3. I know, it's super weird.
That's crazy.
Super weird that they're going to use that map, but I don't know.
And there was also a new release that came out of Ys Ark of Nepistum online.
It's my favorite basketball team, the Detroit Nepistons.
So this is an online game that you can get on your phone, and it's basically the whole story of Ys Ark of Nepistum, which originally came out on the PlayStation 2. And it's great that you can go and play through the story because, hey, guess what? If you don't have a PS2 and you don't have the game, hey, that saves you a ton of money. If you have a PS2 and you're like, hey, I want to get this game, how much is it? It's going to cost you like $65. It's an expensive game.
I mean, I don't know. If it's like remastered, it might be worth it. If you're a big Ys fan. And
I was kind of looking into it and saw that like it was like they were saying, oh, we update all the graphics, but they didn't show like the character model. Because, sure. Like, in the original one, we ran through the overworld, you have, like, a little character model that you would see. But they weren't showing that. So I don't know if it's like, oh, because you have your finger now that can scroll through the phone, that's your character.
Right.
It just feels weird. I don't know. The way it looked feels weird. I have it on PS2. I plan on visiting it on PS2. I played a lot of the Ys games on my Vita.
Yeah, buyer beware maybe on this. Do your own
research. It's a free download. Go check it out. Why not?
I thought you said it was $65.
The PS2 copy is.
Oh, I understand. Sorry, I thought you were saying the Ys Online was $65.
No. This isn't a mobile game. I believe it's only on mobile. For free download, there's probably going to be a ton of microtransactions, which is why I'm kind of hesitant about it. If you want to play it on PS2, it'd be like $65. It's expensive. But yeah, no, it's a free download on your phone. Go check it out if you haven't ever seen a Ys game. I'm sure the story's still going to be the same. It's wonderful and amazing.
That's Ys, baby. That's Ys in a nutshell. Well, I think that's going to be it for us here on our last news episode of the year. If you have any questions, want us to do more news, or Happy News is leaving, send us an email. The email below.
We're still looking for that Goblin Commander news.
Look, I'm holding out Hail Mary. December, somebody's going to send us development information about Goblin Commander. But yeah, questions, comments, concerns, leave them below. Send us an email, drop a like, follow, subscribe.
We hope you're
join our Discord Phase Clan.
Yeah, our Phase Clan. We'll go to the Phase Factory.
Exactly. We do 360 no scopes there all the time. But yeah, we'll have some links below to the articles that we talked about, the stuff we talked about today. But I think that's going to be it from us. I've been Josh.
I'm Alex.
Turtles counted off. 1 Splinter is our master. 2 Quick Save Podcast. 3 it's still a podcast. 4
it's still a podcast.
It's the credits.
It's the credits of the podcast. I love being a turtle.
Ninja Turtles. Not Far Cry. Losing my mind.